Hey everyone, it's Keegan from the Otis Photo Lab. In this video, I will be going over the 27 blend modes that Adobe Photoshop has to offer. Let's jump right in. So the normal blend mode is your default blending mode. It has no special mathematical formula. Opaque pixels, such as these color scales, will cover the pixels directly below them without applying any math or algorithm to it. You can adjust the opacity and fill sliders to achieve your desired results. Next, we have dissolve. So to see the effects of the dissolve blend mode, you adjust your opacity or fill. This creates what is called a diffusion dither pattern. Alright, next up we have the darken blend mode. For each blend mode in this category, anything that is white in the blend layer will become invisible, and anything that is darker than white is going to have a darkening effect applied to it. The darken blend mode selects either the base layer or the blend layer based on the luminance of the RGB channels. It will choose the darkest of the two, leaving you with darker darks. If the base layer and the blend layer color are the same, then no change will be given. So first we have darken. This blend mode reads both your base layer as well as your selected layer to determine the luminance of the pixels which comprise your image. This blend mode will choose the darkest of the two, rendering the darker parts of your image to appear even darker. So if you look at the color scales, when I change the blend mode to darken, you'll see that the white end of the color scale disappears, and anything darker than white will have a darkening effect applied to it. Next, we have multiply. Multiply is arguably the best mode for darkening. It multiplies the luminance layers of the current layer's pixels with the ones directly below. This is great for creating shadows and decreasing your highlights. And then there's color burn. Color burn increases the contrast between the base and the blend colors, resulting in more highly saturated midtones and reduced highlights. The result is comparable to using the burn tool. Next, we have linear burn. Linear burn is also darker than multiply, but less saturated than color burn. And last in this category, we have darker color. This one is similar to the darken blend mode, but it darkens on the composite channel instead of the separate RGB color channels. Moving on to lighten, this is the exact opposite of the darken blend mode. If the pixels of the selected layer are lighter than the ones on the layers below, they are kept in the image. If the pixels in the layer are darker, then they are replaced with the pixels on the layers below. Next, we have screen. Screen is similar to the lighten blend mode, but brighter, and it removes more of the dark pixels, resulting in smoother transitions. This works in a similar way to multiply, in that it multiplies the light pixels as opposed to the dark ones. This is a great mode for making your shadows disappear while keeping your highlights, and for making glowing effects. Next we have color dodge. Color dodge is brighter than screen. It results in intense contrasty colors with saturated midtones and blown out highlights. You can adjust your opacity and fill for any of these blend modes to achieve your desired effect. After color dodge, we have linear dodge. This mode is brighter than color dodge, but less saturated and less intense. Linear dodge adds to the luminance levels. And finally, we have lighter color. Lighter color is similar to the lighten blend mode, but it lightens on the composite channel as opposed to the separate color channels. It compares each pixel and gives you the lighter of the two, which usually results in harsher transitions. And the next category we have is the contrast category. All of the contrast modes work by lightening the lightest pixels, darkening the darkest pixels, and dropping the gray midtones. To do this, they use a hybrid of blend modes from other bright and darken categories at a reduced intensity. So first we have overlay. Overlay uses a combination of the screen blend mode on the lighter pixels and multiply on the darker pixels at half their usual intensity. The midtones of the blend layer become transparent. Next we have soft light. This mode also uses a combination of screen and multiply to reduce intensity, but the results are more organic and softer than overlay. Then we have hard light. Hard light uses a combination of linear dodge and linear burn at half their usual intensity. The effect is more intense than overlay, resulting in harsher light. Next up we have vivid light. Vivid light is a combination of color dodge and color burn. This also has a pretty extreme effect. Next, we have linear light. This one is a combination of linear dodge and linear burn. It's similar to vivid light, but a little bit less intense. Then we have pin light. If the dark pixels on the active layer are darker than the underlying layers, they will be visible. If they aren't, they will drop away. If the pixels on the active layer are lighter than the underlying layers, they will also stay. If not, they disappear. This can result in patchy effects and completely removes the midtones. And finally, we have hard mix. Hard mix uses linear light set to a threshold, so for each RGB color channel, pixels will be converted all black or all white. Then, the composite channel is created, which can contain up to 8 colors: red, green, blue, cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and white. Adjust your opacity and fill to increase or decrease the effect of this. Moving on into the inversion category. First, we have difference. This blend mode does a selective inversion where black never gets inverted, white inverts absolutely, and all of the other luminance levels invert based on their brightness on a channel-by-channel basis. With this blend mode, similar colors cancel each other out, and the resulting color is black. Next, we have exclusion. This mode is basically the same as the difference blend mode, except when similar colors cancel each other, the resulting color is gray instead of black. Now to the cancellation category, we have subtract. This one is also similar to the difference mode. With subtract, similar colors cancel each other out and the resulting color is black. And then we have divide. This mode divides a pixel on the active layer from an equivalent pixel in the underlying layers on a channel-by-channel basis. This mode typically results in extreme highlights. Similar colors will turn white, aside from black, which will remain black. And on to our last category, component. We'll start off with hue. Hue keeps the hue of the active layer and blends the luminance and saturation of the underlying layers, meaning you get the image from the lower layer with the colors of the top layer. And then we have saturation. Similar to hue, this keeps the saturation of the active layer and blends the luminosity and the hue from the underlying layers. Where colors from the active layer are saturated, they will appear using the luminosity and hue from the underlying layers. Then we have color. This keeps the color of the active layer and blends the hue and saturation of the active layer with the luminance of the lower layers. You can use this to change the overall color of an image. And last but not least, we have luminosity. This keeps the luminance of the active layer and blends it with the hue and saturation of the composite view of the layers below. This results in the colors of the underlying layers being blended with the active layer and replacing them. Alright, that was all 27 blend modes in less than 7.5 minutes. I hope you found the video helpful. Thanks for watching.